Hello, Crystal Palace. Welcome to the Upper Norwood Library Hub's Library Live Lunch. This is a place to share positive and useful information, a chance to find out about elements of the community in more depth and keep us all connected during this time. So my guest today is Ruth Hibberd, who is a member of the Norwood Society Committee responsible for local history events. Ruth, thank you so much for chatting to me today. It's lovely to meet you. Tell us a bit about the Norwood Society.
Yes, well, actually, sadly, we were going to celebrate our 60th anniversary this year. So we've been actually in existence for 60 years. And we started in the 1960s because we were, or members were concerned about the sort of changing character of the area sort of architecturally, and it was really set up initially to try and conserve the sort of unique historical character of Upper Norwood or Crystal Palace, basically. But since then, the society has sort of evolved to having talks, walks, publications. There's lots of booklets and articles that members and other volunteers have researched about the history of the area. And we have a planning committee, so planning issues are discussed at meetings. Mm-hmm. And more recently, we've actually started, as you will hear, to develop our own website, norwoodstreethistories.org.uk.
Brilliant. So tell us a bit about that website and what was the aim in setting it up?
Well, my husband and I, he's also involved with the Norwood Society, Stuart Hibberd. We read an article actually about a project running in Brighton and Hove called My House, My Street. And we were very fortunate because they invited us down to Brunswick Square in Hove, where the project is based, and explained how the project worked for them. And then we actually invited Nick Tyson, one of the people running the project, to come to our meeting in March 2018 at the Upper Norwood Library to talk to people about there and how we could maybe sort of copy it, emulate it in some way. But what they've done down there, which is magnificent, is they're actually aiming to do street histories for all of the streets in Brighton and Hove over 40 years. Wow. But the key thing is, and what really interested us, was that it involved local residents in not only researching their houses, the history of their houses and their streets, writing street histories, but also in the case of Brighton and Hove, they actually got local residents to become guides and have a sort of open day in their street where the residents actually literally showed people, around their houses, the historical features, and it was really quite sort of moving in a way. So that's where the idea originated. And I know that Brighton and Hove have, been asked to sort of tell lots of other communities about their project, and I don't think we're alone in doing something like this.
That's fantastic, though. It's a brilliant idea, isn't it? Obviously, you think it's a brilliant idea.
Really, that is our key aim, to involve local people in historical research and get to know other people in their street, because you do. If you've got, more than one person in the street researching it, because what we have done consistently throughout the project is to have meetings at Upper Norwood Library until very recently, where, we've looked at how to research street histories, different types of research, and going to local archives in Lambeth and Croydon, for instance, with some of the volunteers, and just share our expertise and, or lack of expertise, but it has been a steep learning curve for all of us, really, but it's evolved, which is really wonderful, and it's happened, and, we have produced our website, and it's fantastic.
And you have to find your own way to do it, don't you, as well?
You do. And that's exactly what has happened with the website, because we were initially going to just sort of use a template from Brighton and Hove, which in the end we have kind of not rejected exactly, but we have developed, we think, something that is actually much more detailed and much more user-friendly. But you can only really understand that if you look at the homepage of the website, because it's got 4 sections. It's got about Norwood, which is sort of broadly sort of people who are important to Norwood, so notable Norwoodians. We've got significant events. Obviously, the building of the Crystal Palace would be an example for that. We've got significant significant events and significant buildings, and we've got a section on obviously the street histories themselves, which we've broken down because we felt just writing a whole history might be a bit boring for people to read. So we've actually divided it up into sections, which you can find on the website. So we've got maps and land ownership. We've got how the street was built, the architecture, which is fascinating when you start looking at it. We've got residents, which is probably in some ways the most interesting section. We've got memories, and I know the audio project, which the library is going to be involved with, we may be able to sort of get involved jointly on that, because
I hope we can
residents have shared their memories with us, and we're really keen to involve other people in the community. You know, if they want to be interviewed orally, we can do that, because we have the, you know, the opportunity with the website to put podcasts on it, so we could have people's memories live, or we can have written memories. And if you look at the website, you will see some of the memories that people have given us for instance, South Vale, Rockmount Road, Hermitage Road, but you know, it's very much in its infancy still. So
incredibly detailed, though, what I saw.
Yeah, it is very detailed, and we've also, some of the initial research was actually looking at census records and street directories. And for any of you who are not familiar with census records, you may have heard of ancestry.co.uk, but you know, these were, you know, sort of basically a record of people, you know, who lived in a street from 1841 up to 1911. And of course, shortly we will be getting the 1921, the 1921 census, you know, being published, so we'll be able to add to that. But what our volunteers have actually done initially is they have actually used a spreadsheet template and actually transcribed the census data for their streets. And through the local archive offices, we've also found the street directories, which again list the residents by year living in a particular street. But there's more than, you know, you've got ones for sort of consecutive years, so you know, they give a more detailed picture in some ways of who was living in the street. So we've transcribed all of those onto spreadsheets, and you can actually find those on the website as well, so you can see exactly who lived in your house in 1881 or 1891, and you know, we feel that's, you know, very useful information because it's there specifically for that street, you know.
Fascinating. Really fascinating to know. So maybe walk us through a little bit how you went from setting up the project to achieving this huge amount of detail that's on the website.
Well, we, as I said, we invited Nick Tyson from Brighton and Hove to a meeting in March 2018. And what we also did, which got us, you know, sort of a lot of footfall in terms of people attending our meeting, our initial meeting, was we actually leafleted the streets in the Harold Road Conservation Area, because that's where we intended to start doing our research. And so that helped considerably. And then we had a series of meetings, monthly meetings on Sunday in the afternoon in the library. And I guess you could say it sort of evolved from there. But we did start by looking at the census and the street directories, because it was a good place to start. And then we had sessions talking about maps and land ownership and the sources that you might want to use for that. And then architecture, you know, sort of styles of architecture, features, and then interviewing people, oral histories. Harold Road, I know one of our volunteers, Selena Rice, actually has got, or we've got on the website, an interview she personally conducted with one of the older residents she got to know. So, you know, I think it's been a cumulative process, really, the whole thing. And then what we then did was we had a talk in June 2019, and that was on South Vale, Beaumont Road, Rockmount Road and Harold Road. And then in September 2019, we looked at Woodland Road, Woodland Hill, Cornpore Street, and I'm just trying to think, we had, did we have another one? I think we had 4 streets there, Cornpore Street, George. No, 4 streets anyway. And we have got another talk planned when hopefully the library opens and we can resume our meetings upstairs on the third Thursday of each month. But we've also got a talk on Briscoe Street, Berridge Road, or Berridge Street, and Sintra Park, because those have all been researched as well.
And the talks, are they about kind of what you've discovered, the research you've done?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're just obviously giving snapshots of some of the more interesting details. Actually, the talk in September, I have to say, we did have Jenny O'Cheera, who did a talk about her road in West Norwood, which was interesting because obviously the focus initially was on Upper Norwood, but our website isn't just focusing on Upper Norwood. We are really trying to encourage people from West Norwood, South Norwood and Upper Norwood to get involved. And Stephen Oxford, who's done some amazing research for the Norwood Society, and he produces our quarterly magazine, the Norwood Review. He actually has included a lot of his own research on South Norwood, if you look at the website. So, but we would like to encourage more people from West Norwood to get involved if possible. So, but yes, there's been, an awful lot of research, and what's been happening now is, of course, trying to upload it all onto the website, which has been quite a steep learning curve for me and for Stephen, as we're the sort of website and managers, if you like. Yeah. Okay.
And the bulk of the work has all been done by volunteers, I think.
Oh, absolutely, totally, yes. That's why the meetings have been so important, to just sort of keep the momentum going. Because I think when people just go off and do research by themselves, it's quite hard to keep going, and you do need, clearly you've got the support of the group. So, we've had a couple of sort of jollies, we've had sort of, we went to one of our local cafes and had sort of afternoon tea after the first 2 talks, just to sort of pat ourselves on the back and say, well, we've done it, But, it has been stressful because obviously any sort of historical research, you don't always know what you're going to find or where you're going to find it. And that's been probably the hardest thing of all, knowing what records to look for and where you might find information. Just as an example, I was looking for information about who owned the houses, because a lot of people rented properties, in the sort of 19th century anyway, where we started our research. And, I found in Croydon that they had the rate books, which showed not just who occupied the properties, but also who owned them, but also who built them, which was really interesting. So we've got in some sections on the website, how the street was built, we've managed to identify who the builders were and what dates the houses were actually built, which is really interesting, So.
Yeah, I guess part of the problem is that it's actually endless, isn't it? I mean, where do you stop?
Yeah. Well, we actually decided in terms of our sort of parameters that we wanted to really end, if you like, research on individual people that we were going to name because of sort of confidentiality and copyright and everything else in sort of 1921, because we thought, well, there's going to be the next census being published. But we have got information that's later than that, because obviously people's memories go beyond 1921. And also we've got information in our website on the war, people who fought in the First World War, the impact of the Second World War. Croydon Archives, for instance, has got a whole folder showing you war damage or bomb damage, in this area. So I found some quite detailed information about how houses were bombed in this street. And one of our memoirs by Mike Conrad in Rockmount Road showed that he played on these sort of houses that had been bombed further down the road, and his father sort of kept chickens, and on that ground, and I mean, so that's really interesting. But we've tried not to sort of name people specifically after that date, but it doesn't stop people, doing research if they want to go beyond 1921. It's perfectly feasible. There's other records out there you can use. But obviously you have to kind of have some parameters with these things.
Yeah. It's an enormous endeavour. I hadn't realised that it was going back as far as that. How did you fund it?
Well, obviously it's a Norwood Society project, and we have paid from our funds for Casper Kennedale, who's works at the Upper Norwood Library, to help us actually develop the website. And we've had a number of meetings, either at the library or at Cafe Nero, just sitting down and sort of thrashing out what we felt would be useful to have in terms of the design of the website. And I'd like to mention Callum Richardson, who is actually a 19-year-old. He's going off to Falmouth Art College, and the homepage of the website, we've got two beautiful illustrations of Rockmount Road and Harold Road, and he produced those for us, and those are copyrighted. We've actually paid him for his work, and wow. So people, hopefully won't steal them, because they are beautiful, and we were so pleased with that. So yes, so that was very positive as well, But I mean, in terms of involving people, not only have we had that initial meeting, but we've also sort of, with the talks, we've had flyers for the roads which the talks focus on. We put those through people's sort of, letterboxes, and I think that's helped a lot to get people on board, in terms of coming to the talks, and people really are interested in the house and the street where they live. And we just really want to encourage more people to get involved. If you go to the website, there's a whole section called Getting Involved. There's a contact page. You can, email us if you've got memories, you've got information, you've got artifacts, or if you want to actually do some research yourself, it tells you, or you can fill that in. But there's also a section on how to write a street history and how to research a street history. So we've tried to make it, very user friendly. Yeah.
So if people are interested in having a go at sort of researching their street, they can do that. And with some
and we've had some Zoom meetings since lockdown. I think you were going to probably mention lockdown, weren't you?
I was.
But certainly it hasn't stopped because of lockdown. I guess the website went live early this year, and the volunteers who've sent me sort of street histories, we've had to do quite a lot of editing, not just from what they've sent me, but what I've then subsequently put onto the website, because obviously there are mistakes and we want, things we want to change. But we're going to have our third Zoom meeting tomorrow, and it's just a way of keeping in touch and getting feedback and, supporting each other really, which is great, fantastic. So we hope we'll get back to the library soon, but, in the meanwhile, we have kept in touch, and we really would encourage, anybody who's interested, people at school, students, if you're doing a history degree, it could be a great dissertation or a thesis for you, couldn't it? Or if you're, twiddling your thumbs at home and you think, I'd really like to look at the history of my house, it'd be fantastic if you get in touch, So.
And actually, I think any sense of community is sort of even more valuable right now, isn't it? And having a support group and a shared aim, shared interest.
That's really right. I mean, that was the real reason we were interested initially in the project, was that it was hopefully going to give people in sort of in Norwood, let me get that right, Norwood, the opportunity in their community, in their streets, to get together. And I know actually during lockdown, a lot of streets have had their own WhatsApp groups, and, sort of people have been brought closer together. So it is, an aspect of that you could maybe look at,
Yeah.
So.
Where would you like to take this? Where do you see it kind of going in the future?
Well, I mean, obviously, one of the things we were going to do in August was to have a walk around the Harold Road Conservation Area, because obviously we've done quite a lot of research on that. And I think it's in its infancy, the website. We really want it to just keep growing and keep adding to it, because there is so much more information out there, we have only, we feel we scratch the surface really. So, there's a huge lot of potential there. It could take, I think Brighton and Hove said it was going to take them 40 years to do their area, which is much bigger than Norwood, but obviously it depends on how many people get involved,
Definitely a long-term project.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I wondered when I was looking at the website really was, did you discover unexpected gems of stories, information?
Yeah, absolutely. Just some of the, the images that we found have been amazing, photographs, and, sources from archives. I found a wonderful, it was an advertisement, but also a plan for Essex Lodge, which actually stood at the top of Rockmount Road and is no longer there. I think you've got two sort of blocks of flats that have filled that space, but this whole area, Rockmount Road, Vermont Road, South Vale, not South Vale, Highview Road, they all came out of the grounds that belonged to Essex Lodge. So in the Croydon Archives, that's amazing plan of the grounds and the description, because it was being sold in 1868, of everything that was there. And, you know, it was fascinating to look at that. But also, you know, just some of the residents. And, you know, if you look at, you know, each of the street histories, you'll find quite a lot of different people that maybe you've never heard of. I mean, Cintra Park, you've got Martin Farquhar Tupper, who people might not sort of know about now, but he was as famous as Charles Dickens, you know, as a writer. And in our road, in Rockmount Road, we had Alfred Hollins, who was a blind organist who actually learnt some of his skills playing the organ at the blind school in Norwood, and played for Queen Victoria and President Cleveland and Prince Leo or King Leopold of Belgium, and he lived at number 3 Rockmount Road. And the amazing thing about him was he's actually published his own autobiography, which you can actually download and look at on Kindle, and it's good, 600 or 700 pages long. So that was fantastic, you know. So those are just 2 examples, but you know, really, it is really exciting what you find, you know. So it's fantastic.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming to have a chat to us about this. Any of you guys watching who want to get involved, we are putting the website details in the comments underneath the video. So please do get involved, either to help with the research or to contribute your memories, or what else, Ruth? Just give us a recap.
Well, just, I think you have pretty much, you know, sort of covered all those points. But as I said, there is a contact page in the getting involved section of the website where you can, you know, basically make that link, and we'd be very happy to meet individually or talk to you individually on Zoom at the moment. You know, if you want sort of a more detailed discussion and, you know, want to know where to start. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
While we're talking about people archiving their memories, it's quite a good lead into a project that I very much hope, Ruth, that we can have some communication about, because I think there's a lot of crossover between our projects. So some of you watching might know that the Upper Norwood Library Hub has just launched a new project funded by the Arts Council called All Alone Together. And it's looking at the impact of COVID-19 on our community, on our life, on our work, and there's several different strands of it. So we're firstly researching to see where gaps are that we could maybe help to fill as we come out of lockdown and look at how to rebuild. I'm going to be interviewing anybody who's up for it, to talk about how things have changed for you, what's it been like in lockdown, particularly artists, but actually we want a broad cross-section of the community. There is a very short survey on the Upper Norwood Library Hub page, which will take maximum 10 minutes, and there's an option there to let us know if you're interested in being interviewed. The interviews will be partly research and partly edited into short podcasts, which, like the Norwood Society have as well, will be available in the Library Hub as a library of voices. So we're envisaging basically like an audio time capsule, where even decades on, you know, you could bring your descendants to have a listen to your voice telling your story as you felt it in the middle of this pandemic. There's various other strands as well. If you're interested in finding out more about it, please do have a look at the Library Hub webpage. Moving on from that, the general live stream programme that we have at the moment, as you know, we have quite a lot going on. We are always looking for more guests for the library lunch. We have slots available for presenters, so if you have something you would like to try live streaming that's ready to go, please give us a shout. And tomorrow, my guest is Jimmy Robbins, who founded and runs Crystal Palettes. And if you don't know what that is, please do tune in tomorrow to find out. So I think that's all from me for today. Ruth, lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much for joining me. And good luck with the continued building of the website over however many decades it is.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Stay safe, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.